Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
6 p.m. in Kupe Mandinguba Division, the southwest region of Cameroon. Same time right here in Akwa Douala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. First, our major stories. Two criminal gangs who have been giving sleepless nights to residents of Douala, now the dragnet of security forces. The bandits, specialized in the theft of vehicles and other valuable items, were caught by security elements of the Nous Judicial Police. Away from that, 18,000 francs within a day and up to 45,000 francs at night. That's the cost of a bag of blood in Cameroon. The amount, which is relatively higher compared to how it's sold in other African countries, is preoccupying a lot of Cameroonians who are desperately need to save the lives of their loved ones. Why is blood, despite being donated in some cases freely to some hospitals, is still sold at very high cost? We have answers in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. Stay with us for details and thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television for presentation. I am Immaculate Fogwe. The population of the city of Douala continue to face heightened insecurity, a situation which has been giving them sleepless nights. Curbing the rising phenomenon is what is preoccupying security officers of the Littoral Judicial Police. During their last operation, they were able to arrest some of the alleged bandits. We have greater details with Ase Luciliengo.
Security officers of the Littoral Judicial Police have successfully arrested a gang of two accomplices involved in a series of crimes targeting the population of the city of Douala. Among the suspects, a woman identified as the main perpetrator.
During the night of 6 to 7 January 2025, criminal intelligence enabled us to apprehend a woman who has stolen a motor vehicle used to transport people. Her modus operandi consisted of ordering a transport vehicle, faking a stop in order to carry her accomplice, then finding a way of drugging her victim.
The primary suspects, according to her victims, used drugs or other substances to make them fall asleep.
Elle m'avait mis quelque chose dans les yeux, je ne connaissais pas. Elle m'a donné que je bois. Maintenant, j'ai vu. C'est comme ça que la sommeil m'a pris.
The alleged bandits have been presented to the public prosecutor for justice to take his course. While in the Douala 5 subdivision, still in the littoral region, a gang of 5 suspects reported to have been terrorizing the inhabitants are in the dragnet of forces of law and order.
The subsequent investigation uncovered a gang of criminals who had carried out multiple armed robberies in Lopom, Nyala, Bedi, Akwa, using this pistol and some other things.
They had as modus operandi attacking residents of the Douala 5 subdivision with daggers, machete and other dangerous objects, seizing valuable items.
One of the victims explains how he fell in their trap and was attacked with a machete. Fortunately, he did not incur severe injuries, but his bag was taken away.
Commissioner Esono Edo, head of the Crime and Investigation Unit at the Regional Delegation Littoral Judicial Police, stated that one of the individuals, an ex-convict, was found in possession of an automatic pistol. In the coming days, he will face competent authorities.
Ase Luciliengo reporting there. Inhabitants of North Makombe, that is in the Kam Division, Littoral region of Cameroon, are calling on technicians of the company in charge with the production and distribution of electricity to provide them with energy. For the past 3 years, the people of North Makombe have been in the dark. Most of the poles carrying the high-tension cables are said to have collapsed. We have greater details with Smart Jikangebo.
Rotten electricity poles on the ground and electrical cables crisscrossing the road without any follow-up. It is the situation faced by some villages within Makumbe in the Nkam division of the littoral region. Though electricity meters could be visible on the walls of houses, villages like Behak, Njum, Muma, and Doto Kwakwak alongside their headquarters in Dobian have been without electricity supply for the past 3 years. The neighboring villages have power supply, but we don't have. I went to Bafang to ask why we don't have power, and I was told it is because we have not paid our bills. But you will see from the latest bill I was given that it is already paid. Though without electricity in the localities, the company in charge still present bills to the inhabitants of these abandoned villages. They now call on the electricity company to act fast. We are not in a forest that they will say big trees are disturbing the path for the electricity cables. I wish to request Nous to rehabilitate our line. From the onset, they said we could have electricity without any problems. The people of Behak, Njum, Muma, and Doto Kwakwak alongside Ndobian are now calling for an urgent intervention on the side of the government.
And coming up next, our reporter Babila Jonathan looks at the problem of fallen educational standards in Cameroon. Babila Jonathan talked to an educationist, Dr. Nguanyam, and he puts together his views on the causes and solutions to this problem. According to Dr. Nguanyam, the lion's share is to be blamed on the educational system of the country. We have greater details in this report.
Educational standards in Cameroon have been dropping for several years now. From the primary through the secondary to the university level, the performance of pupils and students has been dropping.
Sometimes you're speaking with people, if they are Anglophones, they're probably not speaking very good English. At the end of the day, if you speak to someone and they know what they went to school for and they know what they're looking for in life, you can still forgive them for not speaking good English. But you talk to someone, first, they don't speak good English. Secondly, they don't even know what they're talking about and they don't know who they are and they don't know where they're going to. And thirdly, they can't solve any problem. You can say, of course, that the education is not good.
The analysis of education is Dr. Nick Nkwanyan points to a bad educational system and poor transmission of knowledge and know-how.
For starters, as a nation, we have not defined what education is and what it ought to do for us at the end of the day. We have just created so many schools through which we send children from this end, from primary school, they go to secondary school, they end up in university, and then they leave. Wherever they go to is none of our business, and we are only there, sharpening our pens and so on to give them the certificates, give them PhDs, and give them whatever. It is not those certificates that are important. Watch my lips, those certificates are not important as long as those children cannot feed themselves at the end of the day.
To him, an overhaul of the entire system, a reorientation of objectives, and a change of methods is the way forward.
We need to realize that we have erred. We have gone on the wrong track. We are riding the wrong horse. We need to turn things around. When I say this, a lot of people, because 80% of the people who have graduated from the universities are in this box that I'm talking about with certificates in this and that. When I say what I'm saying, wherever they are, they will criticize me, they will throw rotten eggs at me. It changes nothing. It's just about the truth.
He's suggesting that this should be done as a matter of urgency to avoid the impending doom of rise in violence and social unrest that could emanate from the continuous training of future unemployed Cameroonians.
Babila Jonathan reporting there. Now to a major lead story. Why is blood expensive in Cameroon compared to other African countries, despite the fact that blood is often than not donated freely to some of these hospitals? In Cameroon, the price of a bag of blood ranges from 18,000 francs CFA in the day to 45,000 francs at night. Siri Chakutio attempts an answer to why blood is costly in this country.
In a recent report published by Investi Cameroon, the price of a blood bag in Cameroon is 18,000 francs during the day and 45,000 francs at night, compared to other African countries like Benin and Côte d'Ivoire, where it varies from 2,000 and 2,500 francs. This increase, according to official data, is due to the annual need for blood production in Cameroon, which is estimated at 400,000 bags to treat patients in health facilities. However, only 25% of this demand is covered, leaving a deficit of 75%. We try to respect the price list. That's what can explain the left-wing cost of blood. Normally, the bag should not go beyond 25,000 francs, but rather 18,000 francs. But each health center has its own price. According to a sociological study, several obstacles explain this situation: the lack of political will, public ignorance about blood donation, cultural and religious barriers.
La crise est due à la rareté des donneurs de sang.
The crisis is due to the scarcity of blood donors, and this scarcity of blood donors is also sociologically due to the religions that the population have adhered to, where it is forbidden to donate blood.
C'est la première chose. La deuxième chose, ce sont les tests que nous faisons sur le sang. Le test sur les hépatites B et C.
Secondly, there are tests that we do on blood, like HIV/AIDS.
Le groupe sanguin. Et nous le faisons 2 fois.
In order to ensure self-sufficiency in blood products, especially in emergency or epidemic situations, the government has to increase calls for donations from the population to strengthen blood reserves and ensure that health centers have a fixed price in Cameroon.
Ce que l'État devrait plutôt faire, c'est de prendre une décision pour harmoniser le prix des poches de sang dans les formations sanitaires publiques. Dans d'autres, c'est 20 000 plus de donneurs. Mais là, il y a des endroits où c'est compliqué, où c'est 40 000, 45 000 plus de donneurs.
To overcome this increase, the government has to establish a regular consultation framework to better anticipate the need for blood products and optimize their distribution.
And now in news out of Cameroon, we take you to Nigeria, where at least 16 people have been killed in a military airstrike. Reports say they were mistaken to be criminal gangs. And northeastern Borno State, 40 farmers have died in a recent violence attributed to jihadist terrorist group. Malaglari has the details.
A video footage of uniformed men and armed individuals have been circulating on social media. It shows some military trying to rescue civilians who have been involved in an incident in Nigeria's northwestern Zamfara state, where a military airstrike is said to have accidentally killed 16 civilians, including vigilantes of Kara community. In a statement on Sunday, the government spokesperson said that the incident that occurred late on Saturday saw the Nigerian Air Force targeting the so-called group of bandits who killed villagers and carried out mass kidnappings in the Maradun and Zomi local government areas. Still in Nigeria, another tragic loss of civilian lives, and this time in northeastern Borno State, where at least 40 farmers are reported dead in an attack by suspected Islamic militants over the weekend. The State Commissioner of Information said the farmers had strayed outside one of such a security corridor, venturing into an area known for insurgent activity and minefields. In recent months, attacks, kidnappings and thefts from rural farmers by Islamic militants have been common. As a result of these, authorities have urged farmers to stick to designated safe zones and deploy rangers to protect them.
And that foreign news done by Malaglari ends this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight on Talking Point is a human rights defender. He's known as Barrister TAMFU Richard. Good evening, Barrister. It's always a pleasure having you on Talking Point.
Good evening, Immaculate, and Happy New Year. It's a pleasure for me to be on your platform. I hope we are going to discuss some issues that you have.
Barrister, On the 27th of November 2024, a video of you being molested by some gendarme elements surfaced online. Can you remind us of what happened on that fateful day?
To cut the long story short, the incident you rightly said happened on a Wednesday, 27, 2024, within the vicinity of Bonaberin-Dobo, where they said those used goods. I was in the shop of my client who called me for a service, and while there, some gendarme elements came, 4 of them, 3 being in civilian attire, 1 with 3 being with military attires, 1 with civilian attire, and there was also a policeman with a uniform and a lady. So it appears they were coming to arrest my client, and when they asked to take highway, I opposed to them, telling them that they have to present a document to that effect. And when I insisted, they presented a convocation which was written on it, their reception, that's upon receipt. And when I tried to explain to my client that what was about to happen or what they were about to do was illegal, and that it was in violation of the law, and that if it was a summon, they should just drop the summon and will honor the summon, but that they could not use that summon to take highway and transform it to a warrant of arrest. So when I opposed that to them, that's when the whole issue degenerated and it became my problem. And that's why you see how violent the videos are, because when I told them that my client could not move or could not be taken away with such a document, they decided to evict me from her shop. And I was resisting that. I'm not in a public office, and I'm in the shop of my client. They had no right to do so, and that is how it all degenerated. And having their number, there were 4 against me, it wasn't easy for me to even defend myself on self-defense.
Barrister, what's your state of mind few hours to your appearance at the Douala Military Court?
I'm very confident. I am a lawyer, and I know that those are the risks of my job, and I have no issue to blame myself. What happened to me, I'm not the victim. I'm not the accused person as the one to make it appear. I'm supposed to be the victim. But today it appears the story is turning, and they want to instead turn it as if I'm the one who is the accused person, because I received a first summon, which unfortunately I was out of the country, I could not appear, and still being for medical reasons. They issued another second summon, which is scheduled for the 15th, that's tomorrow at 9 a.m., still before this examining magistrate at the military tribunal in Douala. So I'm very confident, and I know that I have not committed any offense, despite they do on the document you have some allegations or some offenses which have been highlighted, but I'm very confident.
Talking about these allegations, the court is accusing you of orchestrating violence on a civil servant, destruction of military items, insults, and obstruction of justice. According to you, are these accusations valid?
No, definitely no, because they are unfounded. Why do I say so? I myself, as a lawyer, I was in the exercise of my functions as a lawyer. I will not be a lawyer and my client is about to be abused. Due process is not being respected, and I sit quiet. So I think that as a lawyer, I had to oppose that no, they should follow the due process of law. The Criminal Procedure Code does not prescribe that they should use a convocation to arrest somebody. No, so a summons is an invitation. So I was in my right as a lawyer to tell them or to enlighten my client that she is not supposed to execute an illegal order. And because I told them that, that's where now they decided to go violent. And if today they are instead putting those allegations against me that I was violent against civil servants or whatsoever, I don't think they're baseless. So to me, they have no grounds, and I don't think that the video was circulated. Imagine, for example, that if that video was not out, how would I have even stand to even justify myself or to say something? Nobody would have believed me. So I think that from every indication, it's unimaginable that maybe alone I could fight 4 gendarmes or whosoever.
The gendarmes are being accused of abuse of office, slight harm, and violation of orders. As a human rights defender, what do you have to say with regards to the accusations levied against the gendarme officers?
The accusations are not even completed. What we saw on the video, I think there's even acts of torture, because what I went through was torture and not slight harm. I suffered torture in their hands. I also have medical issues. So I think it's going to be a very long legal battle with them, because they should not just limit themselves at slight harm or what I know. The primary offense is torture. They abuse their functions, really. And also I have a claim to make against them, because I had to suffer medical challenges because of their act. So the first offense to me, I think that should be against them is torture, and that's an international offense.
What's your appreciation of the bar's involvement in your case? Are you getting all the support you need from the Bar Council?
Yes, from the very first day that the incident happened, I called my own hierarchy as well. The president of the Cameroon Bar Association was informed of the situation, and I was impressed with the mobilizations of my colleagues at the bar, and they have been following up the matter, and I'm getting the necessary support. As we speak, teams have been put in place to assure my defense, and I think that we are closely monitoring the situation, and we'll do everything possible that justice will prevail in my case.
As a human rights defender who has been handling civil court cases in this country, are you convinced that justice will prevail with regards to your case?
I'm a lawyer, and I took oath to uphold the rule of law at all times and to respect the jurisdiction. So in no point in time I feel that justice will not be rendered to me. I'm not above the law. I'm also a citizen. All I'm asking is that the rule of law should be respected, and that whosoever has committed any crime should pay it. And even if it is that I'm the one who committed an offense, let it be proved before a court of law, because like I told you, I'm not above the law. I'm also subject to the law, and I think that that should be our guiding principle. So we should be all seen equal before the law, and I'm very confident that if Cameroon prides itself to be a state of law, I'm sure that justice is going to be rendered.
And we are hoping that justice indeed prevails. Thank you so much, Barrister TAMFU Richard, for accepting my invitation on Talking Point tonight.
Thank you also. Thank you so much.
That's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for your keen attention. Stay in the company of Serge Alain Otto, who will be coming up next with his program Equinoxe and his guest. Have a wonderful evening from us to you over there. Have a lovely night.